Okay, I want to go over a number of things as there have been changes in the markets since the weekend. First of all, I want to reiterate that, as I mentioned on Twitter today, there is no reason to be a hero and stand in front of the falling US dollar. Just let it go. If you're on the sell side, just stick with it. There's no buy signal in the US dollar yet. It has the monthly divergence situation. It is apparently still in wave 3, so just let it go until there's a reversal signal. There's no sense of that right now. Since it failed on Friday, it's just been following through to the downside, and that is not the kind of thing you want to stand in front of at all. Now, I want to go over a number of euro pairs in preparation for Thursday's ECB meeting, or rates decision in conference rather. Starting with Euro US dollar, I adjusted the count. I mentioned on Twitter today that I'm going with the triangle view that I mentioned last week, and I think I mentioned on the weekend. The ending diagonal idea, in my opinion, is not valid. It doesn't have the right setup for an ending diagonal, as it was coming out of an impulse. And usually that doesn't work in that sense. Usually you need a 4 and then you start the diagonal. So I've switched to a triangle up here, which I believe to be valid, as you have A, B, C, D, and E triangle and a thrust from that. Now the count I've put on here is possibly the triangle being larger wave 4 and a move higher. I mentioned on Twitter that I'm looking towards anywhere towards 117. 117 is not a surprise to me, as it's within the resistance zone and it's looking very bullish. Now on the monthly, the 55 EMA traditionally is a major moving average in Euro US dollar. I don't use many moving averages, only the 8, which is important as an EMA, and the 55 just for the Euro US dollar as it's reactive. And the 8 EMA is coming up around 117.5. So I won't be surprised if it gets there, frankly. You can see the past use of it on all time frames, but in any case, in trending markets anyway, in any case, that is how I'm viewing it. Now, I spoke to an expert Elliott wave trader today, someone who's very, very good at counting, and he mentioned that his view is that we are still ending wave 3, that this triangle, which we share the opinion of, he thinks we are ending wave 3, and the triangle itself would be wave 4 of wave 3. And I think I get what he means, in that there would be a small gyration here for 1 and 2. Wave 3 would come into here, and this would be 4 of 3. And now we're ending 5 of 3. But in any case, I am looking for a reversal, perhaps a bit higher. And then if that does turn out to just be the end of wave 3, we'll have a series of gyrations and another high. But in any case, this does appear to be near to a short-term top. There's, just to repeat, no end to it yet. There's no sell option in this yet. Longs can let it run. The upside has it. People who are looking for with a bearish view all the way up from January, unfortunately have missed the entire trip. So that's how it goes. So a little higher still, and then a down move, and it'll have to be determined if that's larger wave 4 or the whole move is done. Okay, Euro Japanese yen, there's a trade here on a lower time frame coming from, was it on Friday? The down move on the 11th, whichever day that was last week. This looks like a 5-wave impulse right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So any correction staying beneath 13079, let's say, whatever the figure is on this high, is a selling opportunity. Now, how it's going to progress from here is just a 3-wave decline or something more major, I don't know. But there is a trade here beneath the last high on this level. So very simply, you can do the usual trend line drawing, but that is the trade that's standing in front of me, probably into tomorrow, because it's looking like it wants to turn over. Okay, Euro Australian dollar has been falling. Now keep in mind the gap that I mentioned. I do like this gap idea, though it's holding above the trend line now, so there is a support level still intact. I want to point out one other view, which I cannot disregard because it may turn out to be a bullish case. Who knows? It is open to that. My preference is for the move lower, but I cannot disregard entirely that there may be a bullish channel on this. So if it manages to hold this channel and the price action is correct, I will adjust to it. My preferred view is for the gap fill. That hasn't changed. I just want to point this out as a possibility. So going into Thursday, I'm still going to hold as a preference the down move, though we may see a bit of truncation, not truncation, gyration. And keep in mind that the trend line here, this one, is holding in any case. So the downside is still preferred in this, just overall it's at support. It will need to reverse going into Thursday, I would suspect, if it's going to head down further. And Euro US dollar also looks like it may be showing weakness into Thursday, but that is just a guess right now. The trend is up in Euro US dollar. Euro New Zealand too, I'm still liking the idea that there is another wave down. I cannot completely regard this as the high for B completely, but so far on a lower time frame, it's looking like if this high holds, it's preferable to have another move. And I like the idea lower anyway. I don't have a bullish setup here, so I'm going to stick to the downside and look for another move down, and tying that into Euro Australian dollar, a continued move down in this pair. So that hasn't changed. Euro pound has been causing a bit of a headache because it's been going up very strongly. Now my point of breaking is up here. That I'm going to maintain as a high for now. So I'm going to continue to work this to the downside here. I don't have a trade to the upside, so I will simply stick with that. And going on to Euro Canadian, the Canadian pairs have found some strength. How much strength it is, I cannot say, but I want to point one thing out. If you're bearish on this, the gap has been filled, obviously, but if you're bearish on Euro Canadian, we've had wave 1 into here, wave 2, 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and how this is going to work out here is this may just be 1 of 3, and there may be another gyration. The only thing I want to point out is that the key breaking level is here. It's not only the trend line. It's this price level right here at about 14822, which would invalidate the idea that this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 count. So we want to see this remain 14822 or so remain intact for the downside. Otherwise, this would turn into just a three-wave correction for another move higher. So 14729, just a second. Yeah, so frankly, it's still open to the down move. The key level, the key breaking level is here, 14822 or so, this region, because it'll invalidate the count. So as long as we see the 8 EMAs coming in on the weekly about 14722, so as long as we remain beneath that level, there is the option to move down. So if the euro tanks on Thursday, when Draghi speaks, it makes sense to see these pairs continue down. Euro Australian, Euro New Zealand for larger corrections, Euro Pound for the bigger correction for wave C, and Euro Canadian on the bearish side too. And Euro US dollar, maybe it can find a high going into Thursday. Let's see how that unfolds. And Euro Yen, there's a trade on that as long as it's beneath 1307. 130766. As long as beneath this high, there's a 5-wave impulse to work with to the downside. Now going to the other Canadian pairs, what I mentioned on the weekend, now Euro Australian has been a problem. The trade I mentioned on the weekend worked out for a short 3-wave decline, and the whole thing from here, 5 waves down, 3-wave correction, 5 waves down, or sorry, 1 more down, just became a 3-wave move overall. And now we're in the situation where this is broken an important level. Rather not level, is broken what I thought was an important trend line. So moving up, how high is this going to go now? Are we looking at a situation where it's going to climb back in and we're looking then at a bigger three-wave correction, and then another three-wave correction, and then a down move? Because frankly, I still like the down move. I'm not going to switch entirely yet to that view, but if it closes like this at the end of the month, it will be open and likely to move up, because you see you have a series of threes here and then another one here, which is possible. The stochastics also have not reached a higher line, the 80 line yet, so I'm wondering if this is going to happen in any case. But that is why we use stops, especially if you held this overnight, this short. A break-even stop would have prevented you from getting run out of town by the reserve news last night from Australia. So this pair is off the table for any immediate trade because it may be going higher now. I need to see the action on it, but it is looking like it's broken back through. Surprised me, but that's how it goes. New Zealand Canadian, I do prefer to see this. Well, this hasn't changed from the weekend, so I'm going to skip it. Gyrations and see the reaction on the next move up, as it should have a few more swings. And US Canadian, no change yet. It's trying to find some support down here, but there is no change yet. It may be putting in an ending diagonal down here. See how it appears on the next low. Possibly one more low, and I will see if it puts in an ending diagonal for that. Okay, US, I'll deal with this one first. Aussie New Zealand, it made it up to the first trend line. Now there are two trend lines I'm dealing with on this. Now, first of all, the big question is the low in, and are we going up towards 115 now? I'm still going to say no right now. I mean, the first trend line I'm dealing with is here. There is a second one, however, on the weekly, which still keeps this price bearish overall. Now, the bigger pattern is that we've had a series of threes here, and the last move up was just three, and we could be looking at a series of threes here. That is still my preferred view, and until I see a bullish channel, like if it starts to go sideways like this in a bullish channel like cable did last week, that will be an entry for another long. It's the usual bullish channel, basic technical analysis. Every book, every online website has this. If there's a sideways price pattern in three waves as a bullish channel, I will look for a long, but I'm still preferring a bearish view down still overall, because this pair has been very tricky and has had a number of fake moves up here, here. This one too, keep in mind, was a big three-wave correction overall. And this, I remember dealing with this last year, this first move up, thinking that the new trade was starting because this overall was three, and then we had this massive spike up, and it's still keeled over and made a new low. So I'm not going to fall for this yet, that it's completely taking off. I want to see a bullish channel, and it's still open because this whole section is three waves. So I still like the idea that we're going to have another three-wave correction here. So even if this first line breaks, we do have another level up toward 1088. And I would judge it from there if this continues up. It's looking strong now, admittedly, but I can only deal with this with the bigger picture right now, because this whole move up last year or earlier this year looked like it was a big thing, and it completely turned over. So let's see how the week goes with that. Until there's a bullish channel, there's not much of an entry position to deal with. And Bitcoin looks like it's putting in a three-wave low from the last high in the 2000s. That looks like a big three-wave correction so far in Bitcoin. So the idea that a new high up to 5,000 or above, it's still possible in Bitcoin. And US dollar yen has been falling and selling off. And of course, that ties in with gold rallying. Now, if gold's going to rally, Gold is open to rallying. I mean, there are too many ways to count this. This is still a three-wave down move. Sorry, this is a three-wave move, so it's corrective. So there's the chance to rally here. You can also look at this as three waves too. So, I mean, if you deal with it like 3 up, 3 down, and another move up, the issue with that is it would break the very long and stubborn trend line. And I wouldn't really expect it to break back through. But, you know, like with Aussie Canadian, these things do happen. But right now it's looking like there's strength in gold. And if US dollar yen breaks down, we would expect gold to rally as there's the negative correlation between them. There was quite an interesting video, I think it was 3 or 4 videos ago, I can't remember, that Peter Schiff put out. He was speculating on the eventual end of this correlation. It coincided with, I don't know, it was like it was funny because I guess a lot of people are looking at this because I brought this up a week or I think 2 weeks ago, this negative correlation, and I've seen it around quite a lot since then, just by chance. And Peter Schiff brought it up, I think, last week in one of his videos, about 2 or 3 videos ago. And he talked about, he speculated on this correlation ending, this negative correlation breaking, because he was saying, well, if US dollar yen does continue to rally, and there's the whole crisis with a yen crisis and this and that, he's saying, well, gold will break away from that, and the correlation will eventually die. And he does not have any evidence of this yet because the correlation has been tight. But I can see where he's coming from, and there could eventually be a break in this correlation, as I still have a bullish view on US dollar yen overall. My view on US dollar yen on a monthly is that even if we see a 3-wave move down yet, we're looking like, see how this works out, but the stochastics are still holding up, and it could go into a US Canadian or Aussie US dollar type of sideways thing on the stocks for a few months, some gyrations. Who knows, if we get a 3-way move back to here or here or here, it's still open to a big move up, and that is entirely possible, and that is my preferred view. And if that does happen, there's a good chance actually that gold will break away from this correlation. And it was interesting to hear Peter talk about it. So if you want to go through that, I can't remember which episode it was, but let's have a look. Oh, my internet's slow right now. I know which one it was. It was this one. Another weak jobs report portrayed as strong. So if you want to hear him talk about the negative correlation for 10 minutes and his speculation that it will eventually end, US dollar yen and gold correlation, it's this one here. Okay, I'll leave it there. I think, oh, actually, no, let me go with the dollar pairs for a moment. Euro, US dollar, I looked at pound, US dollar. No change. I'm not going to abandon the bullish view just yet. We've made, most importantly, we made the high. However, I can see another couple gyrations in this possibly, and I can see it getting to 133, 134 still. So if this turns into just a, on the lower time frame, if it's just a corrective move and it makes another kind of bullish channel just like this, there will be another high in this. But overall, I am looking for this to turn over, and I would deal with this probably as a truncated move and a move down, correctively, perhaps. And the only thing I wanted to point out in Aussie US dollar is that first target is going to be around 0.81, 0.83. This region here. There is a price history around the 55 EMA on the monthly, as you can see here. Occasionally not, but mostly yes. So this type of area here as well. So it stays bullish for now. No change here. Let the stocks get up to 80. Aussie US dollar keeps rising. Don't stand in front of a weak US dollar. New Zealand US dollar, I don't have such a bullish view on, but I am looking higher. I mean, if it does break this high, that would essentially be enough for a 3-wave move. So just a moment. It would not be, sorry, it would break over here, and that is more than enough. This is the high right here, and if it does break that high, three-wave move, and it's possible to end it up there. Anyway, that's just guesswork for now. For now, the trend is holding. I know there's a terribly high COT position on New Zealand US dollar, and it's still bumping into resistance up here, but I will look for it to turn over. If it breaks this high, there will be divergence on the chart, as there still is. It's just there's not much to work with on the short side with the dollar, with dollar pairs, because the dollar is selling off so much. All these other currencies keep rallying against the dollar. There's nothing to do there except keep buying into them and keep selling the US dollar overall. Okay, I'll leave it there. Bye.